Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back. I made it back from the cruise and home safe and sound. And just wanted to go ahead and do like a review of my experience on Ovation of the Seas. Uh, I made it back a couple days ago. We pulled in to Vancouver on the 30th, and I went ahead and stayed the night in Vancouver, and then flew home the next day. So I got my notes right here on my thoughts on what happened. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get right into it. We'll start with the embarkation. Well, I flew in the night before the cruise to Seattle, which was where the ship was leaving out of, and had kind of a rough touch and go experience there, with flights and the issues that they've been having here lately. I made it to the airport on time, checked in on time. I was, the plane was loaded, ready to go, but then there was some sort of mechanical issue involving the of all things the lavatories on board were not flushing properly, or something of that nature. So all in all, we had about a 4-hour delay. So meaning we sat at the gate, loaded, ready to go, but we didn't have clearance until they got the mechanical issue taken care of. So 4-hour delay, and then it was roughly a 4-hour flight up there. So by the time I got to Seattle, got checked in, it was and got to bed, it was right around midnight. So really didn't have any chance to, I had thought maybe I'd get there and maybe go out, get something to eat, maybe go to one of the local bars or something, but that went out the window. So by the time I got there, I was just, after sitting on the plane for 8 hours, I was just ready to go lie down. So that's what I did. Got up the next morning, and the hotel luckily was very close to the cruise terminal. So it was just a short Uber ride over to the terminal. And when I showed up, it was, there was a kind of a line going in, but it was mostly people checking their bags. And then the actual line to go in wasn't that long, but I did have the key program for this cruise. And for those of you that don't know anything about the key program, it's just something. It's something that Royal Caribbean offers, and you pay extra. You pay a fee, so much per day, and for that you get certain perks. And one of the perks is you get like expedited boarding. So they had like a separate line for suite guests, Diamond, Pinnacle, and Key members. So, I bypassed the line, went straight in, and I have to say it was the quickest check-in process that I've ever been through. I mean, it was just, they just looked at my documents really fast, and boom, I was free to get on the ship. So, got on the ship, went to the main dining room, and for key members, if you're part of the key program, you can take your bags to the main dining room and drop them there, and somebody will take your bags from the main dining room to straight to your cabin. So that way you're not having to lug your bags around all day, waiting for the rooms to open up. And so that's what I did. I dropped them there, and then I had they had a special lunch. It was basically the chops menu, but they served it in the main dining room. And so, I enjoyed a pretty good lunch, had the filet mignon. It was awesome. And then after that, I just spent some time, looking around the ship. And for me, that was probably the biggest ship I've been on in all of my cruising. Normally, I've been sailing on smaller ships, older ships. And so the Ovation of the Seas is certainly the nicest, the biggest that I've been on. And I mean, they've got everything, well, as far as what I like when I go on a cruise. So they had everything, everything that I like. They had 2 indoor pools. They had an indoor pool area, and then if you keep walking aft, they have the solarium area, which is another indoor pool area with hot tubs, bar, and all of that. They even had some restaurant. I believe it's the Solarium Bistro, I think is what it's called. And they serve, breakfast, lunch, and dinner back there. But I was blown away. I spent most of that first day during embarkation just walking around, checking everything out. As far as the ship goes, like I said, they have all kinds of amenities. They have the iFly skydiving experience. They have the North Star, which is like an observation tower. You get on it, and then it raises way up over the ship, and then it rotates around, so you can get some really awesome views. They have the Seaplex area, which has bumper cars. They have pool tables, ping pong, you name it. There's all kinds of activities. I think they even have like a basketball court in there. The 270 lounge slash theater, which is all the way back aft, which is really an awesome place because you can go back there, have a drink, get some coffee, and they have these huge panoramic windows all around the whole aft area. So you got some really cool views of when you're sailing away or coming to a destination or whatever. I used to go there pretty much in the morning, sit there, get some coffee, check out the views, and kind of start my day that way. They have the flow rider, they have rock climbing. Just plenty. There's no shortage of activities for people to take part in. As far as the dining, they have the Windjammer, which is the buffet, and you can eat all your meals there if you want. And I think I ate most of my meals there for sure. Breakfast every morning, lunch pretty much most of the time, and then dinner. I really liked it. They offered a variety of foods, and then they would have certain theme nights throughout. Like they had, I think, a Caribbean night. They had a Mexican night. Just different varieties of food. Anything you can think of. Specialty dining. They had the Chops Grill, which is the steakhouse. The Azumi, which is kind of like the sushi / hibachi type restaurant. They have the Wonderland restaurant, which is kind of like the Alice in Wonderland themed restaurant, where they have just all kinds of creative dishes in there. Jamie's Italian, which was another one. Obviously, Italian restaurant, really nice. It's in a good area, pretty scenic, I guess. And so, yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better cruise ship. My room, I had a room on the 7th deck. It was a balcony room, and the balcony was pretty good size. Once again, I couldn't have asked for a better room. I love the location. I love the way it was designed, everything that it offered. And so I guess the next thing we'll talk about is the ports. Well, for this cruise, we were supposed to stop in Juneau, Skagway, Victoria, and then we were also supposed to go up and check out the glaciers. And then we would end up in Vancouver. So first port was Juneau, and I loved it. It's really a cool looking town. It's kind of like an Old West kind of theme with the way the buildings were designed. And for that port visit, I did not have an excursion booked, so I just kind of got off the ship, decided to walk around, check it out, see what I could get into. And it was kind of a rainy day. It rained a lot on this cruise, which I kind of knew that going in because it was the last Alaska cruise of the season, and I had seen the weather reports, and people were saying it was going to be real rainy, and so it was. But that didn't really discourage me too much. I still got out and kind of checked out some of the shops, and then I ended up taking a gondola up the mountain. It's kind of like one of those cable cars, and I think it cost, if I remember, I think it was around $40, maybe 50, and but it's really cool because you get some really good views of the whole port, the town, the ship, everything. And so that's what I did. I rode that up to the top, and at the top they have kind of like a cultural center where they have restaurants, shops, and they even have like a little theater where they do some Native American performances, and then they also had like a hiking trail that you could go up and do that too. So that's what I did. When I got to the top, I checked out the shops, bought some souvenirs, and then I decided to go ahead and hit up the hiking trail, do some kind of nature activity while I'm in Alaska. Just it's kind of one of the things I was looking forward to. So I took out off the trail, and it was kind of steep, and I haven't been used to doing something like that in a while. So admittedly, I did not make it all the way to the end of the trail. I got it maybe halfway or 3/4, turned around and came back. But it was really awesome, being out in the forest like that. The trees were awesome. The views were amazing. And you could see some wildlife running around out there. They had some totem poles that were staged throughout the trail. So, all in all, it's pretty neat. And so came back down, hung out a little bit more in the little cultural center, and then took the gondola back. And by the time I got back down, the rain had kind of picked up a little bit more, and I was a little bit tired, so I decided to go back to the ship and call it a day. But like I said, my impression of Juneau is it was really, really cool. I think there's a lot to do there, and I think next time I'll try to check out some more of the stuff in town, or maybe book an excursion. I don't know, but very favorable opinion on my part. The next port was supposed to be Skagway, but it got canceled due to weather. I believe it was something to do with the high wind and the waves. Because for us to go to Skagway, because of the rock slide situation that happened earlier in the year, you have to anchor out and use the tender boats to get to shore. And because the sea state was so rough, they just didn't want to take a chance on it, so they rerouted us to Icy Strait Point, which is another. It's a pretty neat little town. It's kind of I guess a fishing town, if you will, and they have a couple of cruise ship piers there, so they can take a couple ships at a time. And once again, it was raining, foggy, not the ideal conditions, but I decided to make the most of it and got out and explored the port as much as I could. They had a bunch of different hiking trails. You could hike out along the coast or go up into the forest, and then they also had like a gondola that would take you up to the next level, and kind of midway point, I guess. And that one was free. It was so anybody could use it, no cost. You ride it as many times as you want, and it was kind of the same deal as in Juneau. You get up there, they have kind of a cultural center. They have some shops, they have some restaurants. You can buy souvenirs. They have a bunch of totem poles, hand carved totem poles staged throughout, and then hiking trails once again. So. They have another gondola that goes all the way to the top, and that one is $50. So I went ahead and purchased that and went all the way to the top. And it was really, they had some really cool views. As much as you could see, I mean, there was a lot of fog, so it kind of obscured a lot. But once again, I had a great time. I made the most of it, and it was good to get out into the nature and enjoy that. And so we left Icy Strait Point, and the next day was a sea day, and then we were supposed to go up and check out the Glacier area, which we did. I mean, we did go up into the, I guess, the heart of the kind of the strait or whatever, and they took us to the point where normally you would be able to see the glaciers, but once again, because it was foggy, rainy, you really couldn't see it. I mean, it was covered with a pretty good sized fog bank, so unfortunately that was kind of ruined, you know. But they did take us to the regular point where they always do, and then we came back down, and so then we continued on to Victoria, which in Victoria I had a whale watching excursion booked, and that was awesome. You know, the boat that we were on, it had a couple of different. It was kind of like a 3-level boat, because there was the bottom layer was mostly like seating and stuff, and then then there was kind of a mid-level area, which once again they served coffee. They had coffee and tea, which was complimentary, and then they were selling some snacks for, I think, $3 or $4 a piece, and I think they were also selling souvenirs. And then they had an observation deck on top. But it was pretty packed, you know, since I think a lot of people missed out on excursions that they had booked for Skagway. Everything else kind of filled up, so it was kind of hard to get a good vantage point to view the whales. And but the guy, the captain of the boat, he did a really good job taking us to locations where we'd have the best chances of seeing whales, and there was plenty. Several sightings that I can remember. It was hard to get footage of it because it seemed like they were always happening on one side of the ship, and so once people figured that out, everybody was kind of ganged to that side, so it was very hard to get over there and get some shots. But I did manage to get some on camera, which hopefully I can get that edited and get that out. And then there was on the way back, he took us to this rocky area. There's a bunch of rocks sticking out of the water. And on the rocks were just full of seals, sea lions, and just, you name it, all kinds of activity going on there. And that was kind of unexpected. I wasn't expecting that, so I did get some good footage of that. And so then after that, headed back to the pier. And then after that, I just kind of took off walking through the town. Didn't really know where I was going. Didn't know what I was looking for. Got kind of lost at one point. But then ultimately I made it to the downtown area, and they have a pretty awesome harbor area. Real scenic, real beautiful. And they have a lot of historical buildings too to look at. And so that's pretty much how I spent the rest of the day in Victoria. And then, of course, came back to the ship, and then the next day the cruise ended in Vancouver. So all in all, it was an awesome cruise. I couldn't ask for more. It was my first Alaska cruise. I didn't know what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised. Went into it with an open mind, and so there you have it. The weather, a lot of people, I heard a lot of complaints from the other passengers because of the weather. They didn't get to see the glaciers, and then also not getting to go to Skagway. And I can kind of understand, because some people had booked excursions to go, do like the sled dog, go to the sled dog area and things like that. So, I mean, I can kind of see that if you had booked one of those excursions and that you had been looking to it for a whole year, looking forward to it for a whole year, and then having that canceled, last minute, I guess I could see people being frustrated, but for me, I wasn't one of those people, and I don't, like I said, I enjoyed Icy Strait Point. Maybe next time I go on Alaska cruise, I'll get to hit up Skagway. But all in all, uh, I have no complaints at all, and I would highly recommend. If you're somebody that loves cruising, and I think you kind of owe it to yourself to just do an Alaska cruise at least once, see if you like it. I don't think you'd be disappointed, but of course that's just my opinion. But that's that. I can't really think of. I think I pretty much covered the highlights of everything. Feel free if you got any questions about it, at least leave the questions in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer. But other than that, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day, and I will see you around the way. Take care.